Okay, there we go. It's decided to update right at the second I want to stream. And we are here with the first game between SpinalTap International Master and Tornon, just regular chess player. We had French opening. It seems, it looks like Tornon is maybe looking to go for something here, but there seems to be coverage. And maybe SpinalTap can use this now that white pushed f3. There we go. As always, some delay is there. So they don't hear my suggestions live. Okay, so Tornon decided to cover, give up a piece for a pawn. He was already down a pawn, so material advantage is very good here for SpinalTap, and it's also worth noticing he has all the bishops. SpinalTap wants to exchange queens. This is third round match, GMB. So the winner from this one has to win 2 more. Without losses, you need to win 5 matches in a row. Yeah, look at this square. He blocked the H file for the moment, but his time is running out. There's just a lot of material. A winner of this most likely faces Juanet. Yeah, SpinalTap is finishing this game. Very nicely. Just keep pressure. You can even put another rook on the back rank. He's just taking material. And now he can just take this and go for bishop at g1. And Tornon resigns first game. Hey Goose. Okay, Tornon coming with the e5 pawn sacrifice. And SpinalTap basically going back to an e4 opening by giving back the pawn. And you could already get knight f5, yes, and I expect his plan was to go queen f6. Now knight c3. And we'll have pawn e6 probably. And then the bishop is no longer easily developed. But instead knight e7 is played. I don't know about that decision. Now you could maybe consider to trade. But maybe Tornon is looking to go here. But if you don't want to allow that, you can just go pawn at g5, yeah? Queen has to move and then you can trade. And the queen has to go here or here, I think, because you need to keep an eye on this pawn. Yeah, g5 looks very solid. No need to go into very forcing lines. Suggestion by Pepsi is maybe knight at d4. I think this is just fine then. Here he goes for knight takes g7, and so we're gonna have a fork. And the bishop's gonna be removed from the diagonal. Yeah, this looks strong for white if he manages to keep the advantage. Black needs some time to put all these pieces on the board. I would probably try knight at b5 and then maybe queen f6. Let's say knight e5. Queen f6 is almost enough, but not quite, I think. But yeah, bishop f5 is also fine. The point of this move is that you attack this and you try to trade queen, so it will lead to mate. Okay, bishop at h5 finally played. I think he was looking for the most precise way. The point is if the queen moves there, it's gonna be queen takes f7. Maybe that's true, David. Gotta stir up the pot in the next game. Yeah, now he has multiple threats. Knight here, take f7 is winning. King d8, queen f6. It's just mate. Pawn e7 takes, queen f8, take and mate. Okay, so trades on d5 and a quick knight e3, and usually the safest square is just to go back. But Tornon playing quickly here. He knows what he's doing. And play for quick control. And white usually tries to push d5 at a certain moment. This is nice for white. It's also not that bad for black, but this could be a way for Tornon to get in the match. Thanks for the follow, Felix. It's 2-0, Goose. Even if you are mobile, it's visible in the screen. So your trolling is wasted. I was maybe just playing knight at f3, but he wants to be aggressive. Take, knight takes. And if any knight at g4, you always have knight f3 to cover against the mate and attack the queen. No worries, Goose. No worries. If you want to play guess the move, this is probably played next. Yeah, pawn at g3, reserving the knight. He is probably thinking about maybe rook e1 and knight e4. Or you want to use the knight on g7, for example. Try to get some pawns here, and then knight g7 is sometimes an idea. And the time is also speaking into Tornon's advantage here. He used 10 seconds and his increment. Yeah, so there we go. He's looking to exploit this square, get the bishop into play. Maybe. Maybe that this was not so bad, I don't know. With knight at g4 next, but I mean, this feels very good for Tornon. Knight e4, yeah. Exploit this weakness. Takes, bishop takes is coming. SpinalTap is trying to hold on for the moment. Maybe he'll give up his queen. Probably not. Now, yeah, just take the rook and go for rook at c7. Seems like a fine idea. If you want to be safe, you can just play bishop at h3 here because it covers this pawn. And he needs to block with either knight or do this. If he moves the king, there's knight c7 with mate. And the queen drops on c8. So if bishop h3, he has to play either this, or knight drops. And then you have some safety, and then you can play for rook at I wonder why he goes here instead of here. Same idea probably, but f5. Maybe just... Yeah, of course you want to provoke this because now you're threatening queen e7. You can take twice because of this pin. And SpinalTap is not making Tornon proof the rest. The bishop was also covering e2 and f3, yeah, true. But I was wondering what if just pawn f5 instead of pawn e6. Maybe also just winning for white. Alrighty, Tornon on the board, 2-1. I think their mutual score is 3-3. There might be one. Seems like this is a 3-check, looking at the board. But yeah, on rating, SpinalTap is of course favorite. If Tornon can keep that white game that he just played, keep that going, get an upset with black, then in this game or the next black game, then we could have a very tight match. Usually pressure on the light squares comes for white, and black is trying to defend. And sometimes pressures on d4. So yeah, he's covering at the front. You could also consider covering at the back. Thanks Dimitra for following. The advantage is that you sometimes can take here and drop a pawn. The disadvantage is that you may be vulnerable to pawn breaks or forcing trades that might lead to a disadvantage. So here, when in doubt, play king h8 might be an idea. Because now he's just dropping a pawn. Wants to take this back. But I believe knight takes e7. Queen takes knight d5 might give some... might give some initiative, and you can also just consider pushing this pawn, and then you see why the bishop here is not so good. I guess I would place this position like this and then knight f4. I mean, I don't think you can sacrifice this with pawn g4, but maybe. Pawn g4. Take. Don't think it works. Some 97 ideas after takes. Knight at e7 wins the queen back, but he might look for something else. You trade a lot of material, and I'm not sure if it's worth all that. Afterwards, you may have some vulnerable light squares. Yeah, maybe he's gonna play this a bit slower. Gotta be careful though for light square attack with bishop g4 and pawn h3. I think he wants to play this line, but he wanted to make sure that he can take the queen back with check. Knight e7 and then pawn g7 to take it with check, and if the king moves here, the king is very much in the open. So king f7, and now there is no mate, and the king is not safely on h8 behind the pawns, but the king is getting mated on f7. Very nice. Knight at h6. And Tornon is trying to find some moves, but it feels bad. Yeah, this can't be it. Queen or here, but it's gonna be made soon. Bishop d7, nice, made in 2. That's a very nice tactic by SpinalTap for 3-1. Let's see if he repeats the same black opening. No. We had d5 a move earlier. But Tornon might still play for this. He likes these positions. Now you could play for pawn here. And you gotta go. Yeah, maybe this is the way to go. Tornon played it very quickly. And then take, and say, okay, my position is okay. You're gonna get attacked though. Pawn at g2, it's gonna be pawn h3. And knight f4. Queen g5. So I'm not so sure here. I mean, after the pawn h3, knight f4, maybe even he takes, gives up the queen. But queen g5 seems okay as well. Maybe knight takes h3, you felt was not the right way. Pawn takes g2, and not allowing this. I think Tornon handled this pretty well with white. As soon as the queen has to move, he has some weaknesses in his structure, but black still needs to develop. But David already calling it. One big advantage for black. I'm not too sure of that. So, not taking the pawn, of course. You don't want to run into an attack there. And how do you continue here? It's like 20 seconds Hercules or something. Wonder if he's going for this. Maybe later. One of the points is that you want to drive away the defenders of g2 with when you have the queen here. Because knight at g2 is mate. No, they cannot GM BMW. They can only see it afterwards, I believe. Afterwards there's a way. Knight was hanging, so he had to sacrifice it. Nicely done by SpinalTap. Ooh, I wonder if he's gonna give up the queen here. Knight here, bishop h3. Not necessary, probably. Can go bishop h3 still. So this is close to a forced win, I guess. Take the pawn, yeah. Move order doesn't really matter there. 4-1, okay. SpinalTap. Recovering from that black loss earlier. And this is something Tornon plays on a regular basis lately. Seen him done it before. And well, white controls the center with one of these breaks. The knight development is slightly odd, but I mean black is also developing in a not very aggressive way, so white can permit himself. Okay, now the first pawn break is coming. And I wonder if he's going for e5 at a certain moment. That's what basically what black wants. But he's provoking him to play e5 here. But it's not in SpinalTap style to play for e5. Yeah, this is a move to break open the center, but it's allowing knight f5, which I don't like. Of course, he's saving the bishop first, but this, I mean, the pieces were already set up to aim at these squares, so now you gotta do something about this. Maybe pawn e6 or g6, okay. Maybe he can get away with this if he gets h6 castles, but he had to stop knight f5. It was Tornon is playing without h6. He's saying, okay, if you want to go pawn h6, go for it. If you don't, I'll play h6 probably next move. Then I'll have a safe king. It's something. Take. And there's no natural knight g4 defense or knight f5 defense. But then again, there's also not much of an attack immediately. He's just developing his pieces first. And yeah, at move 14, at move 15, he's ignoring it. Yeah, we're gonna see b3. Of course, we're gonna see b3. Now you can get bishop f8 or knight e6. I think they're both a bit enjoying themselves too much, but maybe these moves are all the way to go. Okay, so we got some trades, and I must say I like black's position. White's position is not bad, but black has a nice bishop here. You can maybe go for knight f4, even though at e3 it was played. And now you almost gotta play bishop 8 at e7, or just you cannot really give up the pawn. Woody now. Too chessy. I don't like allowing this. He's looking for a rook and knight h3. Rook takes d2. Now you gotta watch out for knight h7. I thought rook takes d2 was something. Yeah, knight g4 is mate, almost. Yeah, this is mate. Bishop h6, bishop h6. Maybe not in that variation. King g5, bishop h6 is king h5, the knight something. But then you take the bishop, so bishop f6, king h5, knight takes e5, and king f5. You just take the rook, I guess. Rook g5 is coming. Knight h3 takes, knight f3 takes. Okay. I think Tornon missed a chance there. Let's quickly review. Yeah, there was something here combined with rook takes d2, I guess. But yeah, you have to be careful with the black king. That's why I didn't like bishop at e6. Allowing knight takes f6. Yeah, the classic tactic in the opening here, by the way. You give up a piece where you try to get an attack on the queen. And now bishop takes g2, knight at f5. Ideas come, you just have to be careful about knight f6 winning the queen, but sometimes you can even allow it if the king is so very open. You get two knights and the white king gets mated anyway. Okay, he takes and Tornon takes back. He's not going for knight f6 because he realized knight f3 is coming if he allowed all that, and it's bad stuff for him. And now if you go knight at f6, bishop at f3 is coming. So knight f6, take, king d8, knight takes d7, bishop at f3 was winning, I think. I wonder if what he's gonna do here, if he's gonna give up the queen. Yeah, and he's planning to play bishop at c6 to take back the knight on d7. Hey, Itari Muno. So we get takes, knight takes d7, and then we're gonna get bishop at c6. Maybe he can start with another move. Knight h4 could be considered. h5. Okay, he had pawn at f3. If queen takes, you lose the queen. And if king takes, then bishop at c6 to force the king here or force some blockaders. This is a simple threat. Knight e2. Bishop g5 to get some defense going. It's possible. I wonder if queen f6 is something. Just get the rook. Probably not. He's just shutting off the diagonal. So now knight e2 or f3 is not really that scary anymore. Still going for it. Now bishop takes c6 is a very good move to eliminate stuff, because you can keep you can sacrifice your queen at the right moment. Rook d1 could be an idea. Just ask to see how you block. Knight e2, you just have to go here. That's all you have to do. And mate is coming soon. Okay, Tornon still in it. 5-2. Still 75% 0-1. And Tornon got the 25% there, David. Let's see if he's gonna develop again in the same manner. So SpinalTap basically needs a draw to seal the deal. It's best of 10 games. So that last game and this game and the next game and the game after that are must-win situations. Now there's something to say for developing like this. Usually white never wants to trade here because you give this bishop more scope. For that reason, also not playing for c4 too early. You just leave this knight here, maybe kick it with f3, and then you play around it. Yeah, knight h5 seems logical, and the black pieces are really cramped. This knight is pinned to the pawn. Yeah, pawn trade will favor white because he can put the pawn there. But if he takes first, then bishop c5 frees up some space. Maybe go something like this. With little trades, he can maybe save d6, but someone saying just take here, you could do that, but it's not needed. Every move is a struggle for black to find a move that doesn't messes everything up, so just make him suffer. It's all improving white's position. And now you can just try to prepare this. Because at f7 removes the defender of g7. Yeah, you can just do it. Why prepare? Because that seems to be the way he plays. Maybe he would have played for something longer. He was playing earlier. Indie writer asking how important it is to not move the c pawn. Well, it depends on a lot of. It always depends on the position, of course, but in general, it weakens the c7 square, where a pawn can drop and then a knight can attack. With the drops, it's just c7 and f7 are much weaker. So you want to defend those squares and not allow them. So in the early opening, it's almost never that the c7 pawn is moved. I mean, as white, you can always do something more because you have the first move. Yeah, he's trying to trade off this defender. And then he can go for knight h6 ideas later. Queen takes. Knight h3, king h1. What's the threat? Is he allowing something? Don't think so, but this straight is very good. Ah, he dropped mate. That's a blunder by SpinalTap with a nice advantage on the clock. So he won't be too happy with that one. Tornon takes 2 in a row. This will be confident boost for him. And now he didn't allow the line. Well, he won this game, but he probably felt like it wasn't the way to go. Yeah, when you don't, this is, you gotta play h5 at some stage in these lines. That's basically the way to go for an advantage or for something of an attack. Because white usually tries to play f3 at a certain moment, but now it's sufficiently weakened the g3 square. White, Julian, excellent question. For the somewhat inexperienced players, this is actually very nice for black because it favors the king. The king is very hard to attack. With the drops of pieces, usually the 5th rank is used to drop knights, and then you can attack the pawns from there. So when you have a center like this, it's worth the piece for the pawn to have such a nice center, and you get nice development quick with the bishops out. So actually at the higher level, people find it very hard to prove that that the knight is worth more than a pawn there. So they decide to play something else with white. And in chess, yeah, a knight for a pawn that early in the opening, you're basically lost. But in Crazyhouse, because you can drop new stuff, and with a safe king, knight drops are not usually that powerful. And now you see black's king is sort of weakened, and white is threatening to take and maybe drop knights, and then you can see the knights are coming from the 5th rank. And in black's case, this knight is also on the sort of the 5th rank. But then looking at white's king. Yeah, no worries, Julian. It's for me and a lot of players in the chat, it's probably very normal that you just give up that knight. We're not even talking about it anymore, but it can seem weird. Trade's good. Oh, like, yeah. True. What should white play in that line? I think there you can take. But I don't think e5 is that strong there, chemical chess. Hey, all like I'm doing well. Just did some studying earlier and some work, and now we're just playing, looking some Crazyhouse. And tonight I'll have my own match to play. So it's a good day. My match will be in 2 hours from now. So again, good position for white it feels, and especially looking at the clocks again, this feels a bit like Tornon's first win, where he was comfortable in the position. He likes to play versus these e65 positions, it seems. Yeah, in 2 hours, playing Pepe, who will probably also stream. And he's just feeling comfortable here. I think he's looking to go rook takes h3. And rook takes h2 he wants. But I think he can defend with rook at g2. For the moment. Maybe he should try bishop at b5 first. Ah, he has threats though. Some weird mating patterns are here, so white has to be very careful not to get mated. Let's say queen b5 takes, knight takes, rook takes h2 is mate. So you don't have time for a non-check, you have to cover. Now he took the pawn, now I would play queen b5. Bishop at f4 was nice. Hey Oleg, thanks for the subscription. Appreciate that. Took some time there. Now we have a nice mutual time trouble battle. Ooh. Rook takes h2. Okay. Still mate. Yeah, still mate. Enough pieces. Thanks for the follow, Geo. Oh, that's... This was such a good game by Tornon. This could have been the 5-4. Oi, oi, oi. Nice finish by SpinalTap. That was out. I was calling out rook takes h2 there. Yeah, so chemical chess, it would increment it sort of. I was calling out this, but there's rook takes. That was the problem. But yeah, he just eliminated defenders one easily. Nice job. But must have been some nerve there after the 2 wins and a position like this. I think here, queen b5. Because if he doesn't play, someone was saying, let's maybe try pawn at e5, pawn at e7. Then there's this. All forced. So yeah, very nice match. Very nice. Okay, so in a little under 2 hours, I will play, and I will put the stream on just like I did my previous match. I will put the stream on a bit earlier and then do some preparations with puzzles, and then I'll stream and I'll turn off the chat, and well, you can either decide to talk about it there or just watch the stream. Maybe I'll have a blind rage attack, who knows. And then after the games are done, I will probably briefly go over them and share my thoughts. But I like to focus and not have chat going on during the match. And after that, we also have 2 matches, and probably I will be able to do commentary there as well. So there's gonna be a lot of content today from my end. And hopefully I'll see you back soon. But for now, I'm gonna have a break and have some dinner, and I'll be back. All right, bye bye.